Right. Successful Indie Author 5 Minute Focus, episode 301. And there goes the internet. Let me stop the camera. Being interesting. You write, therefore you are. You tell stories, which makes you interesting because not everybody can do this. Actually, very, very few people can do this. You've with a lot of people, and I'm sure you've heard before, oh, I always wanted to write a book, but they don't. That writing a book is a significant challenge. Starting it, plowing through all of the writing until you get to the end, and then all of a sudden you have a book. That makes you interesting. Got the internet back. All right. Makes you interesting, but are your books interesting, or are they as exciting as watching paint dry? We don't want that. So keep your books interesting. Keep them moving forward. Look at jokes. There are people who are really good at telling jokes, and there are people who are really bad. And the people who are bad at telling jokes spend so much time on the setup, and then they change it. Oh, that's here's the way it needs to be, and you're frustrated by the end. Don't be like that person. A horse walks into a bar. Bartender says, "Why the long face?" How about that? That's all you need. That's the right pacing for a good joke, for a good story, for a good storyline, for narration, making it happen. You got to keep the story moving along. You're not teaching astrophysics, and no offense to astrophysics teachers, but all that background, all the homework, all of the calculations, everything you need to do to effectively be an astrophysicist may not necessarily be interesting for a lot of people. So, here goes the internet again. You got to keep your story moving along, and you have to be interesting. And being interesting means a constant flow of punchlines, a constant flow of action, a constant flow of engagement with readers. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about action and what that means. But for today, it's you interesting. And you're seeing that I'm making this up as I'm going. It sounded a lot better a month ago when I put this together. See, and now you're bored. You're like, oh, what the hell? Why am I here? Because you're hoping that I say something important. The interest, when people ask you about your book, what do you say? Think about that. Are you waffling? Are you pantsing your elevator speech? Are you telling them about the book? Are you telling them what's interesting about the characters? Or are you telling them how it'll make them feel? This is a military sci-fi book that will rock your socks off. It will. One ship fighting a battle that's lasted 1,000 years. How about that? Okay, interest. Keep the interest up. You don't want to bore people with details that don't matter. I read a post-apocalyptic book, and on the first page, they were talking about the loss of sewage treatment plants and how it would affect society, but somebody could still buy stuff online. It was a dichotomy that didn't work for me. So, was it interesting? No, it wasn't, because it dragged down, spent too much time with stuff that wasn't important. And that's when you personally, when you're engaging with people, what is important? What is important for them to know? What is important for you? And this is where you ask questions. Oh, hey, you're a writer. What do you write? Oh, I write science fiction. Are you a writer? Start asking questions, turn it back around, and that will make it even more interesting, even though they don't know anything about you. It's a trick. I hate to use the word trick, but it's a technique, shall we say, for engaging in conversation. Of course, 100% of my focus is on 20 Books Vegas coming in a month. What are we going to do there? We're going to talk to people. So how do we talk to people effectively? And that is, once again, comes back to you being interesting, because you're a storyteller. So you should be collecting data. You should be watching the world turn and seeing how you can that into your stories in a way that the readers say, wow, I can see myself doing that. I can see my neighbor doing that. What a jerk. Make it flow, bring it, make that reality a way that people can relate to without getting quagmired. Like, don't talk about dogs dying if you absolutely don't have to. It makes people feel horrible, and they don't want to read that. in a lot of cases. Sometimes grief counseling, nonfiction, you have to talk about that, but then you have to make it something that people can be comfortable with. Just like you're interesting, you've written a book. Well, hey, how do you think it should end? What is a great ending for you? Turn it around, collect data when you're talking, because that makes you interesting, because you care about other people, and that's interesting. You write books. No matter what your everyday life looks like, you live in your imagination, and that makes you interesting, because other people can't do that. A lot of other people can't do that. All right, everybody. Hopefully that helped. A little rambling for today. Tomorrow we'll be talking action. What does that mean? All right, everybody. Peace, fellow humans.